Thank you, Jeff. Fellow Toastmasters, especially the newest members of this club. The promise of artificial intelligence. Why would we care about artificial intelligence? I'm here to show you that there are reasons why you need to be aware of what artificial intelligence is doing and how it can affect you. If you don't mind, let's imagine we're in a newsroom for artificial intelligence news. And I'm going to read to you some of the latest headlines for artificial intelligence. Google's self-driving car is caught on video colliding with a bus. Well, it seems that this newly released video shows the moment a Google self-driving car had to learn the hard way that you don't tussle with the public bus. Come on. We all know you don't tussle with the public bus. This collision happened on Valentine's Day in 2016, where the Google vehicle struck the side of the bus. It tore off its radar, flattened its tire, crumpled the side. The bus driver was not at fault, the video footage shows, all right? But neither the Google employee who was in the driver's seat or the 16 people on the bus were injured. That's the good news, all right? But I bet that Google employee was wide awake afterwards. The crash occurred on February 14th, and Google acknowledged that this was the first time its car made a mistake and caused a crash. It's very nice of Google to admit that. Most of the prototypes have driven approximately 400,000 miles on city streets and has been involved in other accidents, but not of those accidents, it wasn't the cause of the accident. In this particular case, it was. So, just remember that the artificial intelligence in this car, now this is a car that's supposed to be able to drive itself and be able to make all the decisions that we make as a driver. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. That is not true for the next news article I have for you. Tesla driver dies in the first failed car crash while using the autopilot mode. Now, Tesla cars are not driverless cars, but they do have autopilots. The autopilot is supposed to make intelligent decisions for the driver if you put it in these modes. And it is, in this particular case, it happened that against a bright sky, the car's sensors failed to distinguish a large white 18-wheel tractor-trailer truck that was crossing the highway. So the car attempted to drive full speed under the truck, with the bottom of the truck impacting the windshield of the Model S. And the police report makes it very clear that the top of the vehicle was torn off by the force of the collision. And all of this because the driver trusted the autopilot to make the decisions to drive the car properly. And in this case, it could not distinguish between a bright sky and the side of a truck. This is important to understand, that these artificial intelligence modes can affect you. The preliminary reports indicate that the vehicle crash occurred when the tractor-trailer made a left turn in front of the Tesla at an intersection for a non-controlled access highway. The driver of the Tesla died due to injuries sustained in the crash. But what really got me was another report, and this is by the Association of Computing Machinery, which is usually considered to be a good source. And the headline for the technical news reads, "Scientists can blind a self-driving car from seeing pedestrians." Now I no longer feel safe either inside the car or outside the car. The important thing in this report is that the method that they used is by strategically flooding an image with noise degrades the artificial intelligence ability to recognize objects such as pedestrians, but the image looks unaltered to humans. What do you mean it looks unaltered to us, but it confuses an artificial intelligence system? I want to be seen as a pedestrian. I want to know that I'm safe. But the algorithm, when you inject noise, gets confused. Do we call this intelligence when there's a clear difference between what we do as human beings and what this machine is doing? To answer this question, I have to take you all the way back to the beginning. Where did artificial intelligence start? At this point, you're supposed to fade to audio-video slides, but just bear with me. Going all the way back to the beginning, we start with a famous mathematician called Alan Turing. He lived in the early part of the 19th century. He was a very famous mathematician. You may have seen a recent movie on him. And he discovered a lot of mathematical arguments. But in 1950, Alan Turing published a paper called Computing Machinery and Intelligence. And this paper defined an experiment or imitation game to resolve a simple question: can machines think? It all boiled down to imitating the human being. If the computer can imitate us sufficiently, then you can't tell the difference between the computer or the human being. But maybe there's a little bit more than just imitating us. Alan Turing's prediction, and I'm going to quote him here: "Nevertheless, I believe that at the end of the century, the use of words in the general educated opinion will have altered so much that one will be able to speak of machines thinking without expecting to be contradicted." So he set a timeline and he set a condition. By the end of the century, we would not even question that machines can think. Well, let's face it, the end of the century came and went. We're 17 years beyond that now. And we're still questioning whether machines can think. So it's time to reassess this imitation game. Do we really understand what's going on with our intelligence? And I'd like to take a look at three things: computing machines, human intelligence, and then, of course, machine intelligence. Everybody knows that in 1950, the computers that Alan Turing was using back then were huge in size, very slow in speed. In the decades between 1950 and today, computers have gotten much faster. They have gotten larger in their ability to store, and their ability to process information has just grown. Moore's law allows computers to literally double in power every 2 years. There's a lot of doubling there. But that's not the whole story. Computers got better. But what about intelligence? Since the 1950s, we still don't know how our own brains work. We're not sure as how we think, but we want to have these computers imitate us. The high-level functions of the brain and the human brain are not entirely understood. All right, and measuring the human intelligence accurately, that's debated by experts. Should you use this intelligence test or that intelligence test? And testing students to understand which one is a student who has intelligence, this is still being debated today. So where are we? For machine intelligence, we've spent billions of dollars, countless AI research projects to create Alan Turing's experiment. Remember, the experiment is just to imitate us. What do we have for all this billions of dollars? We have some great playing chess games. where a computer can play a good game of chess with a chess master. And we might have some specialized expert systems, but they're very narrowed in their focus of their field. So where are we? The final assessment, the outcome of intelligence machines still remains questionable. The definitive answer to the question, can machines think, has not been answered. It's not been resolved. And Turing's prediction, and again, remember, he predicted that by the end of the century, that the general educated opinion will have been altered so much, that hasn't come to pass. What happened? I'm here to tell you that we may not know what happened, but for a conclusion, everybody here needs to understand that you need to be very skeptical regarding claims of any AI products or services you might be using. Be skeptical of using AI products, especially if its use is in a life-critical situation, such as driving a car. Lastly, understand the limits of any AI product that you might be using. The limits where they can work and where they can't. Don't get caught like some of these drivers today. AI is not entirely the panacea it was set out to be. But you can be an informed person and you can still be safe. Thank you.